Brasil canta y baila samba tu Janeiro! Y es que es la victoria!
A 2-1 victory helps them progress to the next round, one win away from making the playoffs. Little did they know, one of their players had made a play that would drastically change the outcome of the match. For 6 rounds, Cypher player J-How used a known Cypher Cam exploit at the A site of Breeze.
From either of those two teams that are still playing later on today. Then slowly making their way into the site, the camera is going to get all of the information from Joe. I reckon that's going to pick up a couple.
Spike planted.
On the plant at least. Realistically now it's all about damage and heat. It's not going to allow for any of it, just popping heads as he goes, leaving killers. As the last man standing, absolutely no chance for him here at a Blade.
Vivokeed essentially jumped on the fence and jumped up and put the cam here. So that is a real exploit, okay?
The camera placed in such a way that enemies can't even see it due to issues with the textures. Riot Games had made it explicitly clear this was against the rules, and previous instances typically resulted in a forfeit. Nonetheless, J-How did not back down and continued to abuse it to help his team win the map. A competitive ruling stated as a result, Vivokeed forfeited the 6 rounds they used it in, thereby losing the map and the series.
But seeing something like this, an exploit being abused like this at Valorant Champions, and then Riot bringing the hammer down and making this team forfeit rounds at a tournament like this, is crazy.
Unfortunately, they proceeded to lose the next match against X10, exiting the tournament in joint last place.
They got owned because of their own decision making to use that band cam. Let's just say it. That was their decision to end up using. The onus is on them, and they did crumble.
While the community generally agrees that Vivokeed should have been punished for what may have been an attempted cheating scandal or merely an accidental use, many also believe that Riot should have just fixed the bug, which had been known about for many months. But Vivokeed were not the only team to use an illegal exploit. At the lock-in tournament at the start of 2023, T1 faced off against hometown team Furia. This was the first ever major tournament in Brazil, and Furia were determined to get the win for their fans.
It's the hometown heroes versus the plucky underdogs. What happens in this game is anyone's guess, but one thing is for certain, it is gonna be freaking awesome.
Perhaps though, not a great idea to break the rules in the process. Furia took a 1-0 lead as things went to map 2 on Icebox, and at the start of round 5, Killjoy player Khalil placed a nano swarm at the center of the A site, a spot explicitly listed in the VCT handbook as an exploit. The molly was never even required, as T1 decided to funnel into the B site instead in a round they eventually lost. However, following the end of the round, a technical timeout was activated and Furia were notified and penalized with the round loss.
For all of you who have been waiting, I am being told that an illegal Killjoy Molly was placed by Furia, and it was well within the rulebook, so they knew that it was not a Molly that should have been placed. It was placed anyway. Because of that, a round will be removed from Furia's score. So we're gonna get you all back into action. The score is 1-4 in favor of Furia.
Chat is saying like, why don't they fix it? But I feel like it's probably just a thing of like, they probably haven't figured out how to fix it yet, maybe. So like, it's not that simple. And then just let you know, hey, you can't do this. I don't know. It's kind of because you can't see it or anything, right?
Yeah, you can't even break it.
Yeah, I guess you could shock the box or something.
Wait, there's no way that guy actually put that molly and thought it was okay.
Intentional cheating from Furia to hope they would get away with an unfair advantage, or merely an accident. Despite this, the Brazilians remained undeterred as they closed out the map to win the series 2-0. So far we have discussed mainly borderline cases, but some are far more blatant. Riot Games has not shied away from providing tournament support all across the globe, from Latin America to China and Vietnam. A Vietnamese player by the name of Nom Senpai was making waves in the region due to his flashy plays on the jet.
Headshot. One enemy remaining.
As the VCT 2022 Stage 1 Vietnam Open qualifiers looms, this was his chance to make a real name for himself. And Nom Senpai did exactly that, but for all the wrong reasons. With his team up 12-9 on Haven in a qualifying game, he was caught cheating red-handed. In this clip, his crosshair suspiciously flicks to Astra at C-Link, who was completely behind the wall. But Nom-senpai continued to trace the Astra, making it clear that he had an aimbot or trigger bot active, an offence clearly stated against in the rulebook. The repercussions were swift and drastic. Riot Games announcing he will be banned from all tournaments for 36 months, that's 3 years, beginning January 26, 2022. Riot have made it clear that maintaining the competitive integrity of their tournament is a top priority, but that doesn't stop some from trying.
Hey Omen, I respect
but
the guy who
Nom-senpai
knits.
wasn't the only player from Asia to come under controversy. Singapore Valorant is known for having a strong talent pool with such names as Jing, Benkai and Egoist. Juicy is another player who seems destined for success. Despite being just 16 years of age, he helped Bleed Esports win the Ascension tournament in 2023 in the Pacific region. This tournament granted Bleed a spot in the coveted VCT Pacific League in 2024, competing against the likes of Paper Rex and DRX, and recently confirming the signing of 2022 Esports Player of the Year Ye into their roster.
It feels amazing because I've been waiting literally 2 years for this moment.
However, Juicy will not be eligible to play due to age restrictions and is now joining fellow countryman Jing in military service. What will show though, Juicy once was the official Riot Hammer. Back in 2021, him as Monster Gaming, EG, officially qualified for the Southeast Asia Masters, taking down Team SMG in the Grand Finals of Challengers 3. However, their spot was later taken away from them after a player from TMG had violated their anti-cheat policy. That player was confirmed to be Juicy, who was only 14 at the time. Juicy made it clear this ban was a mistake, and later confirmed he was officially cleared by Riot, and thus will be able to compete upon his inevitable return.
I just got cleared by Riot, not a cheater. Whoa.
Welcome to the famous
got that, Jet. That's all you, Jet. That's all you, Jet. That's all you.
And arguably the most talked about in the VCT so far. As Masters Reykjavik was confirmed as the first major tournament in 2022, only 2 slots were up for grabs in the North American region. In the first open qualifier, TSM were up against T1 in losers round 4 in a high-stakes game. It was T1 who drew first blood on map 1 of Split with a comfortable 13-7
enemy remaining.
And then momentum continued
Spike
to map 2,
down,
where they
attacker
took a
spawn.
sizable 8-4 lead. But as the game came to a halt to switch sides, something happened that would be remembered in Valorant lore forever. TSM's Subrosa made a bold claim that T1's coach Dennis was typing and probably talking to them mid-game.
A pretty serious allegation. He tweeted, "I'm playing against a team that has their coach typing and probably talking to the mid-game GG 6v5. And so this explodes.
These allegations were investigated during map 2 by a Riot employee. They long for the forfeit hammer to swing down hard. T1 were officially disqualified for breaking a rule which states that during the match, communication by a player should be limited to other players on the team.
When they got disqualified, he tweeted, yawning emoji, we
They're
won the first map 13-7, which is an incredible thing to tweet when your coach has cheated. Do you not find that to just be an insane thing to tweet?
TSM's Wardell gave us an answer. All chat, revealing his intentions to the entire lobby. A call out for a location which connects the A-side entrance to the back of mid. With no communication allowed from the coach outside of timeouts, this was enough to warrant a full forfeit for T1. Not everybody agreed with. Many were also reminded of the infamous iBuyPower match scandal 2 years ago. Also,
enemy remaining.
Happened some
2 bullets.
8 years
1
earlier.
bullet.
I need help series, guys.
But Dennis wasn't the only coach to come under scrutiny. Over in the EMEA region, G2 were up against Team Vitality.
30 seconds left.
22, and G2's Nuki made a spectacular play in round 10 on Fracture.
Something be calling a save with Nuki. Well, he's a different man altogether. He'll drop down and take the first. His health's about to reset on back up. He's avoiding the fight for now. The res on his weapon for twice. Nuki goes no clear. And
Little did he know, however, by posting this clip publicly, people started to notice that Coach Pipson could be heard in the background celebrating. Accidentally making this information known was a grave error, and as previously mentioned, this is strictly against the rules. However, on this occasion, Riot did not punish G2, and Pipson later came out with a statement apologizing for his actions, assuring everybody it would not happen again. While there was no direct evidence that Pipson was providing clues or information to his team, as in the T1 versus TSM case, many still suspected foul play on G2's part, leaving the community widely confused about the inconsistency of these respective rulings. VCT Game Changers is a new Riot program which supplements the main competitive circuit by creating new opportunities and exposure for women and other marginalized genders. However, this golden opportunity provided by Riot has sparked a barrage of controversies since its inception. Every few months, a new scandal arises that outdoes the previous. The biggest controversy so far occurred at Game Changers Series 3 in October 2023. The stakes were as high as they could get, with slots for GC champions on the line. In Losers Round 2, it was a team called Newt up against Complexity, with the loser to be eliminated. Newt got off to a great start, with some suspiciously excellent shooting, but Complexity tied things up to take it to a Map 3 decider. What viewers watching live didn't know though, is that Map 3 would never arrive. It was soon announced that a member of Newt was detected by Riot anti-cheat.
During the VCT Game Changer Series 3 match between Newt and Complexity, anti-cheat confirmed competitive segment was compromised by Newt.
While no specific player was mentioned by Riot, it didn't take long for people to realize that Malibu was the culprit. Quickly deactivated their account following the drama.
Malibu basically came out of Malibu's first tracked match was Supergirl Gamer Pro September 16th of this year.
Malibu's teammate Zan made it
One
clear that
enemy
they only
remaining.
met just 2 weeks before GC3, and the rest of the team were apparently not aware of the shooting ongoing. With many suspicious clips that people believe to be indicative of war hacks, one has to wonder how it was possible that he slipped through the cracks of such a high-profile qualifier, especially given Malibu's submitted profile picture was quite clearly generated by AI, and provably so.
I'm surprised she's not a popular Valorant streamer, because she's conventionally attractive and she's really good at Valorant, and that's generally 2 big factors that might help a Valorant streamer. Well, it turns out the picture she submitted was fake. It was made by AI, and it was the picture submitted to the tournament organizers.
Does anyone, it sounds like Malibu is like some anonymous person that no one knows that just put a random picture, just joined this team and hacked. Here's what I say: I didn't cheat, I am trans, and the people closest to me know that is true, and that headshot thing was definitely troll as fuck. Ban was probably for ban evading, but I don't know, I should technically be unbanned by now. Either way, enjoy your laugh.
Teams such as DSG's GC roster, who had been defeated by the cheater earlier in the tournament, wanted repercussions which could never arrive, and the reputation of Game Changers was only further tarnished.
And when Newt was essentially beating us, I was really impressed by the team, as well as the player Malibu specifically, because I never heard about her. Essentially, we were so close to beating the event winner, and we were so close in beating the actual cheaters, that I really do wonder how things might have gone if we weren't playing against cheaters.
Cheating in an official Riot Games tournament is one matter. Doing so in a school event that's right, $50 Valorant tournament for our students. The stakes were not justified by any means, but a player by the name of Mother Hunter decided to turn out all the stops with his share of $10.
Going up. One enemy remaining.
Absolutely broke with their fire strategy.
What?
This is crazy. It feels like we've been doing this forever. Anyone else feel like that? Just me? Okay.
Cheater detected.
Yo, cheater.
Yo, cheater detected.
No way.
And there we have it, how pros have abused game-breaking glitches and significantly worse. Which of these do you consider to be cheating? Who do you think went too far? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this.
When an innocent customer walks into IKEA, what they're really walking into is a powerful psychological trap meticulously designed to make them overspend on furniture. IKEA is one of the world's strangest, but also most innovative companies. And every year, they sell more than $50 billion worth of everything from chairs to bookcases to Swedish meatballs. Today, IKEA is the largest furniture retailer in the world, and oddly, also among the world's 50 largest restaurant chains. But it all started with a dyslexic farm boy who started selling matches for pennies. IKEA has a remarkably uplifting story, and there's tons of genius business strategies along the way. But there is also a darker side to IKEA and the man who started it. IKEA's beloved founder has ties to the Nazi Party, and the company has been accused of avoiding billions in taxes and even using forced labor. And quite suspiciously, IKEA is essentially the largest charity in the world. This is the crazy true story of IKEA, and it begins with a horrible tragedy.
One enemy remaining.
I got him.
Man's on defuse.
Last
In the
player standing.
1890s, Conrad, a German from an aristocratic family, fell in love with a lower-class woman named Franziska. Akim's parents, marrying a woman from a lower class was unacceptable, so he and Franziska moved to a tiny village in Sweden to begin a completely new life. With his last penny, Akim bought a 450-acre farm where he, Franziska, and their children could make a living by selling their harvests. But apart from the land, a modest house, and a few dogs, they had nothing else. And so after a year in Sweden, Akim was in desperate need of a loan. Unfortunately, the local bank refused to give it to him, and that's when his dark side overpowered him. No one was there to witness this, but the story goes that when Akim returned home, he took his gun, shot his dogs, and then himself. As for his 27-year-old widow, Franziska, she hardly spoke any Swedish, hadn't made any friends yet, and she was pregnant at the time. So she had 3 helpless children to feed and care for. Franziska was completely alone in the world, but she was a brave and energetic woman. And despite her grief, she took on the challenge of life and made a success of the farm. Her bills were paid, and her children were well fed and well educated. After decades of unrelenting perseverance, Franziska became a respected member of her community. Her 3 children, and in 1926, her favourite grandson was born, Ingvar Kamprad, who would later go on to found IKEA and become one of the richest men in the world. Growing up, Ingvar's family didn't have much money, but he still enjoyed his childhood on the farm. Franziska showered him with love, and he liked playing with the animals and catching fish in the nearby pond. And even at just 6 years old, he was starting to show a knack for entrepreneurship. With the help of his aunt, Ingvar bought a case of 100 matchboxes for 88 Swedish cents. His first customer was his grandmother Franziska, who bought a matchbox for 3 cents. And by selling at that price to people in the local area, Ingvar more than tripled his investment to 3 Swedish krona, around 35 American cents at the time. It wasn't much, but this lit a spark inside Ingvar, and he became obsessed with buying things as cheaply as he could and selling them for a profit. As Ingvar was growing up, he sold Christmas cards, candy, wall hangings, and lingonberries. Each time he'd then reinvest the money into more goods to sell, making more and more profit. Ingvar's father gave him a small loan to start a mini fishing business, and by the time he was 11, Ingvar had made enough money to buy himself a racing bike and a typewriter. For every new business, Ingvar's first customer was Franziska, and she always gave Ingvar the courage to make bigger moves. Like when he borrowed around 600 krona so that he could import 500 Parisian fountain pens. And now that he was a natural salesman, he made his biggest profit yet. However, Franziska's influence on Ingvar was not all positive. You see, Franziska came from a German state called Sudetenland, which after World War I became part of Czechoslovakia. But Franziska was a German who did not feel identified nationally with Czechoslovakia. So the happiest day of her life was actually when Nazi Germany annexed Czechoslovakia in 1938. From Franziska's point of view, the Nazis were reuniting Germans with Germans, so they were like saviors to her. Unfortunately, Franziska was so passionate about the Nazis, that her politics rubbed off on Ingvar. He was too young to form his own opinions, plus the horrifying realities about the Nazi regime. So Ingvar was totally indoctrinated into the Nazi ideology by his family. In his teen years, he even recruited a few friends into the Swedish Nazi party, and later on, this would come back to haunt him. It was also in his teen years that Ingvar moved to a boarding school. He often struggled with his classwork, especially because he had dyslexia. But whilst at school, Ingvar was continuing his business by selling watches, pens, belts, and wallets to his schoolmates. This one-man operation was looking like a real business, so Ingvar figured, why not make it a real business? As a graduation gift, Ingvar's father gave him the money for the firm's registration fee, and so in 1943, the trading company IKEA was officially created. Ingvar was just 17 at the time, and the business had no money. It was a simple mail order company, buying cheap goods and reselling them at a higher price, just like Ingvar had done all his life. In fact, this tiny shed near his home is where he can picked up for delivery. As for the name, that was pretty simple too. The I and K in IKEA stand for Ingvar Kamprad, the E stands for Elmterud, the name of the family farm, and the A stands for Unerud, the name of the village. So, we go from this shed to a $1 billion business empire.
What will it be this time? Have any patterns emerged yet?
In the first days of IKEA, Ingvar was as energetic as ever. He imported all the products that had sold well from his youth, like pens and watches, and then upgraded the business by adding even more products. IKEA was doing okay, but Ingvar's education still wasn't complete. Right after graduating, he began studying business and commerce, and his parents agreed to take over some of IKEA's workload for the time being. In business school, Ingvar was able to take his natural talent for entrepreneurship and fill in the gaps of things he didn't know yet. For example, ever since his childhood, Ingvar had wondered why many products were so cheap to make, but so expensive to buy. He knew from experience that the manufacturing cost of a regular pen was less than one Swedish.
Last player standing.
Grocery store cost it wasn't that one particular grocery store was not charging a massive premium. If that was the case, most stores could just lower their prices and steal their customers. Ingvar figured the problem was that most businesses focused all their efforts on efficient production and manufacturing, but very little effort was focused on distribution. Ingvar realized IKEA's success rested on how efficiently their distribution was set up, finding the most cost-efficient way to get products from factories to customers. After all, IKEA was importing the same products as everyone else, so the only way to get an advantage over the competition was simply to be a more efficient business. This was tough at first. All while running IKEA from a distance with the help of his family, Ingvar studied business, worked as a store clerk, and even did military training. So the business was anything but efficient, and Ingvar worked extremely long hours day and night. But after 5 years of this, Ingvar finally had the freedom to run IKEA full-time. In 1948, he decided to add furniture to his product line. This was great timing, as after World War II, the Swedish government built lots of new affordable housing that all needed furnishing. Demand for cheap furniture was high, and so furniture sales soon overtook the other small items Ingvar was selling. Plus, there were a handful of small furniture makers in the area, so it was easy enough to buy it from them in bulk, and then sell the individual pieces for a profit. What wasn't easy for Ingvar was keeping track of all the different items he was ordering. You see, because of Ingvar's dyslexia, he couldn't keep track of all the different codes for the individual items. So instead, he decided to give them more memorable names. For example, bathroom items were named after Swedish bodies of water, desks and chairs were given male Scandinavian names, and children's products were given the names of Scandinavian mammals and birds. When Ingvar sent out a brochure advertising IKEA's new furniture offerings with these eye-catching names, a lot of mail orders came in. As IKEA expanded, the family farm was cleared out in order to manage the workload, and every member of the Kamprad family helped out however they could. The family was a business, and the business was a family. Before long, Ingvar had hired a staff of 8 people, and he greeted everyone with a hug and considered them his family as well. IKEA's foray into furniture was a massive success, and it was growing steadily. But there was a massive problem on the horizon. You see, IKEA was a mail order business. They would mail out brochures advertising their products, and then customers could mail them back with an order. The problem was that IKEA was just one of hundreds of mail order retailers that also sold furniture, and they all bought it from the same suppliers. With so many sellers in a single market, IKEA and other businesses had virtually no way to stand out other than lowering their prices. But this meant IKEA's profit margins were getting dangerously thin. The only way to mitigate this was to cut costs. But that meant the quality of the furniture suffered, and mail-order furniture was getting a terrible reputation. Ingvar knew that if IKEA didn't evolve soon, its days were numbered. But that's when he remembered what he learned back in business school.
One enemy remaining.
Enemy taken out. Reloading.
If Ingvar could design a more cost-effective distribution pipeline than its competitors, IKEA could cut costs without sacrificing quality. This way they could lower their prices and still make a big profit. To do this, Ingvar reimagined IKEA's entire business model. First, he bought a large rented department store for around $1,600. It was a steal, and after paying $75,000 for renovations, Ingvar beautifully designed the store with IKEA's main furniture offerings. Then, Ingvar cancelled most of IKEA's product lines and sent out an advertising brochure announcing that they were now exclusively a furniture and domestic products business. This would simplify the supply chain massively. Ingvar's new distribution strategy was now in motion. IKEA would mail out catalogs just like they used to, but customers could actually come to the store to buy. Because of this, IKEA no longer had to worry about shipping, which reduced massively. This let Ingvar achieve his initial goal: maintain quality, lower prices, and still make a big profit. No other furniture business had combined mail order with a retail location, so IKEA was pioneering a new and risky strategy. But on opening day in 1953, Ingvar saw a line of more than 1,000 customers lined up outside IKEA. He was actually worried that the Swedish buns he was giving out for free wouldn't be nearly enough for everyone, or worse, that the rundown building he bought would collapse under the weight of so many people. Thankfully though, the building held, and more buns were made in time. Described that day as one long rush of constant and joyous work. And since IKEA's consistent quality and lower prices were irresistible to customers, the following days didn't disappoint either. The IKEA store became something of a local tourist attraction, with people coming in from all over Sweden. Ingvar even built a hotel with a pool right next to it. It also helped that people had been skeptical of ordering low-priced furniture from mail-order catalogs, so allowing people to come and see it themselves in store was hugely popular. But by still sending out mail-order catalogs, IKEA could still reach customers in a very wide area, and thus Ingvar's gamble was a big success. But on a larger scale, IKEA was still just one player in a massive industry, and the biggest furniture retailers saw IKEA's new methods as a threat. Ingvar didn't know it yet, but IKEA had just made some powerful enemies.
Wingman's gonna plant spike. Stop my wingman. I got the spike.
In the mid-1950s, IKEA was growing at a record pace, and to a large group of Swedish furniture dealers, this was alarming. All of IKEA's competitors still used the standard mail-order model, which meant they couldn't match IKEA's prices. Because of this, the National Association of Furniture Dealers tried everything they could to destroy IKEA before it outgrew them. Now at the time, trade fairs were a crucial part of how IKEA and other furniture dealers got customers. Most of them just showed off brochures of their furniture, but Ingvar actually brought it with him, and since his prices were unbeatable, customers always flocked to IKEA's stands. Because of this, the other furniture dealers tried to use their influence to disrupt IKEA in any way they could. Firstly, they complained that trade fairs were just for showing items, not selling them like IKEA did, and so they managed to get IKEA banned from selling anything at the trade fairs. But Ingvar responded by creating subsidiary companies and selling furniture through them instead. The furniture dealers' countermove was to ban all selling at trade fairs. But Ingvar answered by showing off how much lower IKEA's prices were compared to theirs. The furniture dealers then banned every exhibit from showing prices, to which Ingvar responded by setting up his own trade fairs in Sweden's largest cities. It got to the point where the furniture dealers got IKEA, and even Ingvar personally, banned from attending or hosting any trade fairs. But even then, Ingvar still had them beat. He snuck into a trade fair, rolled up inside the car. And so, despite every attempt to destroy IKEA, the furniture dealers were unable to stop Ingvar. He was always too crafty for them. They compared IKEA to a monster with 7 heads. Every time they cut one off, another one grew in its place. And IKEA was now growing incredibly fast. So before it could eclipse them all, the furniture dealers delivered one final and potentially deadly attack to IKEA. All Swedish furniture suppliers, the National Association of Furniture Dealers put it plain and simple. If you sell to IKEA, we will no longer buy from you. In an instant, furniture suppliers began cutting ties with IKEA. They could either sell to one small but growing company, or to the entire industry. And the choice was obvious for the vast majority of suppliers. Only a few furniture suppliers remained loyal to IKEA, but even they used fake addresses, removed the logos from their vehicles, and made secret deliveries in the middle of the night in order to avoid associating themselves publicly with IKEA. This time, the threat was real. IKEA had a ton of customers waiting to buy furniture, but no way to supply them, and Ingvar had to act fast in order for IKEA to survive. Firstly, he made sure to reward the few suppliers who were still helping him out. Whereas most furniture dealers took around 3 or 4 months to pay their suppliers, Ingvar made sure they were paid within 10 days at most and treated like royalty. Secondly, IKEA started making its own designs. Many furniture dealers refused to work with suppliers who sold them the same product they sold to IKEA. But Ingvar realized if IKEA made some minor adjustments, they could claim it was an entirely new product and win some suppliers back. And finally, Ingvar secured an amazing supply of wooden chairs he made in Poland. Poland became one of IKEA's key suppliers because it was completely out of reach from IKEA's Swedish enemies back home. Thanks to all this, IKEA was able to dodge a potentially devastating attack from its competition. In Ingvar's words, the boycott only made IKEA stronger. And now, they had a stable foundation of suppliers to rely on and unique designs unlike anything else on the market. And all of this would lead to a very unusual breakthrough. One day when Ingvar finished photographing one of IKEA's new tables, as they were packing it back up, one of his employees had difficulty fitting it into his car. He noted that the table used up a lot of empty space. So he suggested something that would change IKEA's course forever. Why not take off the legs? Shortly after, they got their first prototype. You could screw and unscrew the table's legs into position easily, and Ingvar instantly realized how beneficial this would be to IKEA. Selling items sold in pieces that are flattened to make transport easier, or flat pack furniture, another turning point for IKEA. Because now they could take a piece of furniture apart, IKEA's packaging became much more compact. This meant the furniture could be stored and transported more efficiently and cheaply, they spent less on packaging materials, and there was much less chance of an item being damaged in transit. In other words, you can instantly cut Remember, prior to the 1950s, you'd normally be waiting a while for your furniture. Now you could take it home with you the same day. It was win-win. Plus, all of this had another positive effect on IKEA's customers. Researchers discovered a cognitive bias which they called the IKEA effect, where they realized consumers value products more highly if they've been partially involved in making them. 30 seconds left. Because many of IKEA's furniture pieces now came in parts, customers actually had to build them at home, and by physically putting the items together themselves, they had a sense of pride and ownership over the item, which meant more of an emotional attachment to it, and so they valued the item more highly. For IKEA, this meant their customers had a higher level of loyalty to the brand. And so finally, after a decade of battling with their competitors stuck in their old ways, IKEA had evolved beyond their influence. Ingvar knew that IKEA was now perfectly positioned for rapid expansion, and his plans were more ambitious and stranger than ever before. Before we get to the next chapter, it's time to answer a question I get a lot. How do I make these videos? Well, a big part of that is down to today's sponsor, Storyblocks, a curated stock library with everything you need to create high quality video all in one place. I've been using Storyblocks to help make my videos for years now, and it has over 1 million 4K and HD video clips, templates, songs, sound effects, images, and more. So for example, say you're making a video about space. You can literally just type space in their search bar and get countless great cinematic clips for your video. You could then even change your search to music to find the perfect song to match. Honestly, it's been such a time saver for me, and so if you're a content creator, I highly recommend checking it out. And unlike most other stock footage, instead of paying for every single clip, which is expensive, you get unlimited downloads with a Storyblock subscription. So you can download whatever you want with no extra fees. So to get started with unlimited stock media downloads at one set price, head to storyblocks.com/magnates or click the link in the description.
Spike down, attacker spawn.
After IKEA's success with their first store, Ingvar had decided to open a new store that was bigger and better in every way. For the location, Ingvar chose Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. But instead of a spot in the heart of the city, he picked a location way outside, basically in the countryside. This way, Ingvar got a massive discount on real estate, so the IKEA store could be huge. It was about the size of 8.5 football fields, and had 3 separate floors. But if Ingvar was going to take on such a massive project, he needed to perfect IKEA's concept, and this is where he showed his true brilliance. Ingvar designed the store in a way that exploited every aspect of his customer's psychology. It worked like this. When a customer entered IKEA, they took a slip of paper to write down a code for every item they were going to buy, so they didn't have to carry anything around the shop. Despite its vast size, the store had just one entrance and one exit, which wasn't always the easiest to find. People could wander around different areas for a while, but generally, everything flowed in a single direction, as customers were guided through the entire store in a one-way path. It was almost like a with curves every 50 feet to keep customers intrigued about what would be coming up next. This also meant you were basically forced to look through all departments and see every item in the store before reaching the exit. You don't just pop in and buy one thing, you see everything they have to offer, encouraging impulse buys for things you hadn't even planned to purchase. With this in mind, Ingvar designed the layout in 3 main stages. First it was the showroom, which was meant for bigger, expensive things like kitchen and bedroom furniture. Then came the market line, which was meant for smaller, cheaper items like silverware and decorations. And finally, there was the warehouse, where customers picked out the packages with the codes they wrote down and paid for them. However, whilst Ingvar's design seems innocently logical on the surface, there are 3 brilliant psychological tricks going on behind the scenes. Firstly, every exhibit inside the store exploited something called the Gruen effect, which means a display's layout and lighting can draw people in and make them take more time wandering around. The more time customers spent inside IKEA, the more likely it was that they made an impulse decision to buy some piece of furniture. In fact, research suggests that the majority of purchases at IKEA are unplanned. Secondly, since the store was so huge and it only flowed in one direction, it meant that customers better write down the code for the more expensive products at the beginning right away, because otherwise they'd have to walk all the way to the end and start from scratch. And thirdly, since more expensive items were at the beginning of the store, by the time customers got to the cheaper items near the end, the price of a new decoration seemed like a bargain compared to that of a massive dining table. Again, this price anchoring leads to more impulse purchases. As a result of all this, IKEA became more of an experience than a typical shop. You could spend hours there. However, Ingvar did notice one problem. In the mornings, IKEA was usually full of customers, but business always slowed down after lunchtime when customers went out for a meal. But what if people didn't leave to get food? Then they could spend all day there. Ingvar figured that by opening a restaurant inside IKEA, the food sales would not only generate extra money, but people would stay at IKEA for more time.
Can we push
And
C?
even better, if the food was good, people might come in just for a bite to eat, and end up buying some furniture as well. With these strategies in place, IKEA was making more money than ever. But Ingvar also had a stroke of good luck. You see, at the time, IKEA was considered the cheapest furniture business in Sweden, but low prices can often lead people to thinking a product is of low quality as well. But when an impartial Swedish design laboratory gave every item a quality test, comparing IKEA products with more expensive competitors, the results were astounding. IKEA actually had superior quality across the board. Previously, IKEA's quality had been stigmatized because of its low prices. But thanks to this report, IKEA was now seen as both the financially sound and the more tasteful option. Because of this, when IKEA's next new store opened in 1965, more than 18,000 people showed up on its first day. IKEA's expansion plan was looking better than ever. And IKEA was growing like never before. By 1973, IKEA was making tens of millions every year and had over 1,000 employees. Although, oddly enough, Ingvar still main office was in an old barn on the family farm. And yet, they now had a successful formula they could replicate anywhere. However, Ingvar wanted IKEA to live forever, long after he was gone. And this would lead to a very controversial plan. Ingvar's dream was for his children to inherit the business, but Sweden's inheritance taxes were extremely high, so instead, Ingvar hired an army of lawyers from all over the world. Their mission was to make IKEA independent of any single country and protect it from any harmful outsiders trying to take it over. It took IKEA's lawyers more than 7 years of making shell companies, foundations, and trusts in every tax haven in the world, but in the end, IKEA's corporate structure became an impenetrable and untaxable labyrinth. The original IKEA company became owned by a holding company whose profits are moved to a tax-exempt nonprofit, who later indirectly moves its money into the Stichting INGKA Foundation, which is based in the Netherlands. Completely apart from this is a trust, which owns a Dutch holding company, and a holding company in Luxembourg, which owns IKEA's intellectual property. If you're thinking all of this sounds very confusing, you're right, and that's just a grossly oversimplified version. The point is that IKEA's complicated structure is a controversy, with many accusing the company of reorganizing itself in order to avoid paying taxes. Today, 50 years after this restructuring took place, the foundation Ingvar created is probably the full-fledged charity in the world. But either way, in the time it took IKEA to become a tax-exempt Dutch charity, Ingvar was busy replicating the success in his first stores across the rest of the
30
world,
seconds left.
and perfecting the formula even more each time. By the end of the 70s, there were more than 20 new IKEA stores in countries like Canada, Switzerland, and Australia. And Ingvar's plans for the 80s were even more ambitious. However, Ingvar wasn't prepared for what was coming next. The dark shadow of his past was catching up to him, and it would launch him into the biggest controversies.
Fucking God, bro!
Before we get to the next chapter, I want to help you save time and money with today's video sponsor, ShipStation. ShipStation integrates everywhere you sell online, including Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify.
One enemy remaining.
ShipStation then makes it easy to automate shipping tasks and manage your business's orders in one simple
Last
dashboard.
player standing.
Shipping labels, compare rates, organize every shipment, and automate delivery notifications. And when you use ShipStation, you get discounts up to 89% off USPS and UPS rates. So as your business grows, you could be saving thousands on shipping costs. ShipStation has been a big supporter of Magnate's Media for a while now, and I know a lot of you guys have already started using it and been saving money on all your shipments. However, if you've been on the fence about joining, now is the perfect time to check ShipStation out, as you can get a 30-day free trial if you use my link in the description. No matter where you sell or how you ship, make this year your most profitable one yet with ShipStation. Go to shipstation.com/magnates to sign up for your free 30-day trial today. That's shipstation.com/magnates.
Sofa's in the back.
During the 80s, IKEA was growing at its fastest rate ever. But Ingvar still saw everyone involved in the company as family. He was famous for meeting employees with a big bear hug, getting to know as many people as he could, and all around loved by everybody. However, not many people outside of IKEA personally knew Ingvar. He was just the owner of some giant Swedish business. So when Ingvar had been an avid Nazi enthusiast in his youth, his entire reputation was at stake. In 1994, a journalist reached out to Ingvar for comment, which Ingvar wrote back saying he was willing to talk openly about everything. Ingvar was indoctrinated into Nazi ideology through his grandmother when he was too young to think independently. Now that the terrible reality of the Third Reich was public information, he changed his views completely. So Ingvar thought that by being totally transparent about everything, any controversy would go away once people heard his story. However, the journalist had come across 2 documents alleging that Ingvar had attended a fascist meeting as late as 1958. At that point, World War II had been over for a decade, and Ingvar was 32 years old. This was no longer a story about an innocent boy who had been indoctrinated by his family. It was a story about a mature businessman who might just be an active Nazi. And when the story broke out, all of Europe circulated the rumor. IKEA went into crisis mode and demanded answers from its founder. Ingvar wrote an openly explaining the story of his indoctrination, his involvement with the Swedish Nazi Party, his regrets, and begging for everyone to As for the accusation that he was an active Nazi, Ingvar disproved it by saying that 1958, the year of the alleged meeting, had been the year when IKEA's first store was being heavily renovated. He was simply too busy with work to worry about politics. In fact, Ingvar had not attended any such meeting, and despite the news fiasco this initial story caused, Ingvar had done one thing correctly. He was honest about everything, and when people heard his version of the story, the controversy died down. At least, that was until 1998. Another news story broke out, alleging that Ingvar had financed the start of IKEA by borrowing Nazi money.
Nice,
rolled out in the newspapers. He didn't really care about the claim that he'd borrowed money from the Nazis. He was furious that anyone thought he'd borrowed money at all. In his words, they could have accused me of murder, but not of borrowing money. In the entire lifespan of IKEA, Ingvar had never taken out a loan, so the claim was totally false. This time though, IKEA's employees didn't demand answers. Instead, they offered their full support for Ingvar, and he was so grateful that he broke down in tears. However, rumors of Ingvar's involvement with the Nazis never completely went away. For example, throughout his life, he had remained acquainted with a Swedish Nazi activist and Holocaust denier, and Ingvar even invited him to his wedding and called him a great man. It's also known that in the 80s, some of IKEA's suppliers in East Germany were using forced labor, and it's very likely that IKEA's executives were aware of it and did nothing to intervene. But either way, despite the controversies surrounding Ingvar's past, IKEA was on its way to conquering the world. Throughout the 90s, IKEA built more than 70 new megastores and became one of the world's strongest brands. And in 2008, IKEA took the throne as the world's largest furniture retailer. IKEA's success and the fact the company had remained private meant Ingvar became one of the richest people in the world. And yet, he still maintained his frugal lifestyle. He lived in the same house, drove the same old Volvo for 20 years, and always flew economy. Ingvar passed away at 91 years old in 2018. Today, IKEA has well over 450 locations, and so it's not surprising that some crazy stories have happened at IKEA stores. There's a few troubling ones, like when a 12-year-old boy ran away from home and got lost in an IKEA for 6 days. But there's also some heartwarming stories too, like the couple who met for the first time at their local IKEA and decided to have their wedding there as well. Whatever you think of IKEA, there's no denying it's one of the most fascinating companies around. They've sparked several important retail innovations that other companies around the world now use, and the story of Ingvar's family goes to show what endless perseverance can achieve. But if you want to hear the story of another Scandinavian company that makes you build what you buy, you have to check out the messed up history of Lego. Just click the thumbnail on screen now, and I'll see you there in a second. Cheers.
Oh my god!
I told you to take Broadway, this always happens.
From hand-rolling 100,000 bagels every week in New York City, to feeding 100,000 people at the Gurudwara Bangla Sahib Temple in India. We traveled the globe to uncover the amazing stories behind the world's biggest batches of food. Our first stop is Utopia Bagels in Whitestone, New York. This 200-pound mountain of dough will soon be hand-rolled into 1,000 bagels, just a small fraction of the 100,000 bagels made at this shop every week. Workers start the baking process at 3 a.m. and continue way past lunch hours. But according to owner Scott Spellman, the guarantee of a fresh, hot bagel is why Utopia Bagels stands out from the thousands of other stores across New York City.
I'll say it time and time again. You may have tried a bagel, but once you try my bagel, you will not eat another bagel.
We visited Utopia's kitchen in Queens, New York, to see how it prepares its bagels in such big batches. It all starts with a 41-year-old dough recipe that uses barley malt.
It's a really old school way of doing a bagel. Most stores that make bagels today use brown sugar, but to make a good quality bagel, you need this ingredient.
Next, they add salt and a large scoop of Puratos Bagel Improver.
So what that does, it softens the dough inside and it crisps the crust outside.
Then they start filling the mixer with New York City tap water, But it has to be at just the right temperature.
We tend to use water that's around 60 degrees, 62, 63, but temperatures of the water may change when it's hotter and colder throughout the year.
Then it's time to add in 200 pounds of all-purpose flour, a small portion compared to what they have on hand.
You're looking at about 7,000 pounds of flour. Almost a 2-day amount for us that will go through all this flour, and this is actually just one of my mountains of flour.
The final ingredient is yeast, but for flavored bagels, the recipe may change slightly to include eggs, sugar, or freeze-dried blueberries, depending on the flavor. There is no set time for when the dough is finished mixing. According to Scott, it takes a keen eye and years of experience.
It's a thing called when it's ready. How long have you been making bagels?
18 years.
18 years. Daniel's been rolling 18 years. It takes understanding the temperature in the air. It takes understanding his machine that he works with, how long it should mix. All these things are such important factors about what happens with our bagel.
Once the dough reaches the desired consistency, it's cut into sections and transferred over to the rolling table, where it's then formed into one large mound.
We can make up to 15,000 bagels in a day, and this will make approximately 1,000 bagels.
They cover the entire thing with a plastic sheet to help soften the dough before rolling.
And it's only about a 5-minute process that allows that dough to connect a little better with each other. They're saying hello, how are you? All those ingredients are basically doing that right now.
At any given point, there are 4 expert rollers on hand. These skilled men have between 15 and 27 years of experience perfecting their craft, something Scott says is a dying breed.
There's not a school of rolling bagels out there right now, and these people are experts at their field. Listen,
Bro, just use your
I
mic.
think Derek Jeter said it best. If you put 10,000 hours into something, you're a professional. I got this. And Daniel has definitely put 10,000 hours into it.
It takes an hour to an hour and a half for these hand rollers to individually slice, roll, and twist about 1,000 bagels.
It takes a certain type of character because it's very tedious. You're cutting the same thing over and over. And I can tell who is rolling what bagel by the way they lock their bagel and form it together. Daniel has that little lip here that I know about Daniel's rolling that I can see, you know, those were Daniel's bagels. And it gives each bagel their own personality. Our bagels are like snowflakes. Everyone is individually different, and that's what makes it special.
Once the bagels are rolled, they're placed on these racks, covered with plastic and left to proof for a half hour. They then move into one of 3 fridges to ferment for at least 24 hours.
What we're gonna do now is open these bagels up because we still have to reduce the heat to stop the rising of these bagels. We tend to stop the proofing where a lot of places tend to expand their proofing so that bagels are bigger. There's a misconception that bigger bagels are better, and they're not by far. As you see, each round has approximately 1,000 bagels.
There's someone in that corner, I
You're looking at 10,000, 15,000 bagels right before your eyes. And this is only one of my fridges that we keep the bagels. Here's my second fridge. Again, you have racks of bagels, right 1, 2, 3, 4. We have close to 7,000, 8,000 more bagels. So this is basically what we'll keep our everyday making of the bagels. Now it's time for fun and games. We're going to start baking some bagels. We'll always have 2 people working the oven.
One
so
enemy
there's a kettle
remaining.
man, which we'll call him. So he'll control the flow of the bagels into the kettle.
Coming through door,
and
coming
then
through
there's
door.
the guy on the oven
Coming through
who will
A1.
be his director. But the kettle is the ultimate guy in control because he knows when that bagel's ready to come out of the kettle. It's so important.
She was really low, man. And so were you.
Over to boards that have been pre-seasoned with the appropriate flavors, such as poppy, sesame, or the very popular everything mix.
Now are these hot? Yes, they are very hot. But if you watch me, I'm constantly dipping my hand in water to remove some of that heat. Now this again is where we put on both sides. So we're seasoning both boards, both sides.
After workers carefully coat each bagel, they move the boards into the oven.
Now, why we're putting them on board? Because if we put these bagels in straight, they would stick to the slate that they're being cooked on. We put 6 bagels on a board, there's 16 boards that'll go into the oven. We have a middleman also, a 1947 oven. It is the heart and soul of my business. We're able
up there,
One enemy remaining.
That's what's up
an hour on it.
After a few rotations around the oven, the boards are cooked, so the bottom of the bagels can cook evenly. Then they're ready to be pulled and served to customers.
See, these are so, look at the color on this bagel. Look at that beautiful crisp crust. My son always does the knock test.
Reloading.
Feel that crisp crust? Look at that steam coming out of that bagel.
In total, Utopia Bagels offers 30 kinds of bagels and various sandwiches like the bacon, egg and cheese, or the classic blocks. 43 staff members make up Utopia Bagels, and they all work like a well-oiled machine to serve 500 customers to visit the shop.
There's two there. Two more there. Clove and Deadlock are there. And Waterfall.
We could have a line lasting for 8
Open Deadlock and
hours
Waterfall.
straight. But you get me crying about my customers because our fan base is like none other.
Don't show yourself.
It's like a landmark. Everybody's been coming here for over 50 years. It's like a home place for everybody. Atmosphere, people.
On it.
One enemy remaining.
Last one's down below. Last one's down below.
Everything is fair. I've been around to everything. There's no place like that. God treats you like family when you come here. Utopia Bagels is the best.
The most important thing about our bagels is right here. And I get emotional about it, but it's the heart and soul. Every worker here has heart and soul. It truly is something I live for and something we work at. You know, my passion for making people smile with our food and what we produce is a joy for me. It really is. Oh yeah, those are the everything bagels coming out. Look at those colors.
Oh my God.
There's two there. There's two in the corner. There's two there.
This always happens.
This is the Gurudwara Bangla Sahib Temple in New Delhi, India.
What are you doing?
Open 24 hours a day.
One's gonna come from A, like, I think, boy.
The temple's kitchen, or langar,
Yep.
feeds 35,000
The last three A,
to
last
40,000
3A.
people every day for free. And
Hey,
on
like-
religious holidays, that number can swell to well over 100,000 people.
They don't have a flasher, so you
At
guys
the
are
heart
fine.
of this entire operation is kitchen manager Habib Singh to make sure there is overall
Alter came out.
One enemy remaining.
You have alt 2 in case.
To keep
Or
up
just
with
headshot.
demand, the kitchen uses specialized machines that can add vegetables and stirring stews to steaming the perfect dal. We visited the temple during a special holiday called Gurpurab to see how it makes a festive meal in such big batches. The day begins with making a type of sweet rice pudding called kheer, which is a special menu addition for Gurpurab. At the helm of the operation, his head chef Valorant. He's been overseeing this process for years.
700 किलो की खीर बननी है जो पूरे
Bags of rice, pork, rolls, and wash by hand. 25 kilograms of washed rice is then soaked in mustard bottled water and
Yo, we gotta stop dating.
एक कढ़ाई में हमारी 250 किलो दूध की खीर बन रही है इस टाइम जो कि कम से कम जो क्वांटिटी है उसकी 300-400 किलो हो जाती है.
Once the pot has been filled with milk and it starts to boil, they pour in a large bag of wheat flour.
अदरवाइज वैसे अगर हम तैयार करते हैं तो 2 से 2.5 घंटे लगते हैं लेकिन जब से इलेक्ट्रॉनिक हमारी बनी है हमें बहुत सुविधा हो गई है ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा काम कम से कम टाइम में हो जाता है.
During the pandemic, the kitchen found itself needing to make more food with less stuff. The solution was to introduce pots that could automatically stir and cook most dishes in half the time.
तो ऐसा सिस्टम सेटअप किया है
I have a shotgun, so it won't help me.
आदमियों को लंगर भी प्रोवाइड करा सकते हैं. तो कोरोना काल में जैसे लंगर की जरूरत पड़ी ये
My territory is mine! I have them now!
One enemy remaining. Technology for many of the vegetables the kitchen uses are still processed by hand.
Oh, never mind.
One of the most popular dishes the community kitchen makes is aloo matar, a curry dish made with potatoes,
Sorry,
beans,
I have a
and
shotgun, man.
tomato
I
sauce.
had to fucking really close here.
Making this dish begins with putting vegetable oil in a
Yep,
pot.
because she got it through the wall.
घरों में प्याज
The door
टमाटर अदरक
closed.
लहसुन उसके बाद मसाले जीरा काली मिर्च देगी मिर्च किचन किंग कसूरी मेथी वो सब डाल के
Baskets of potatoes
You want to play? Let's play.
and large noodles of tomato puree.
एक कढ़ाई में हम 200 किलो आलू और 60 किलो मटर डालते हैं जो कि क्वांटिटी इसकी भी 300-400 किलो.
When the dish is ready, chefs
Nice.
flip the pot and scrape everything out. Another kind of fun feast is kadi chawa, which is made with a base of cumin, masala, and dried fenugreek leaves.
Remaining. Timber is off.
Chefs add brown flour and pan curd. Last player standing.
15 से 30 किलो बेसन लगता है और 30 से 40 किलो मतलब कि लगता है.
Nice.
While the kadi mixes, chefs prepare the final part of the dish on the side. They mix spinach, onions, brown flour, and spices in a large pot to make pakodas or fritters. When they achieve the right consistency, the mix is then tossed into a pot and fried. These fritters are then added into the curry.
कंप्लीट करी बनती है.
Next up, the kitchen is making aloo gobi, a simple vegetarian dish made with potatoes and cauliflower. It starts with a patka base of onion, turmeric, and rolled garlic. Then the chefs add in mustard, cauliflower, and bacon. They mix
I got the door for you.
everything, evenly coat the veggies, and continue stirring until they are finished cooking.
Oh,
An everyday staple on the menu is fresh dal, or cooked lentils. Green,
I only have a shotgun.
yellow, and brown lentils are all washed by hand daily and added into a pot of water.
Last player
The
standing.
lentils are then seasoned
One
with
enemy
salt,
remaining.
chili powder, and turmeric. Covered.
5 कुकर है हमारे पास. एक के अंदर 60 से 70 किलो कच्ची दाल बनती है. ये सारा ऑटोमेटिक है. जब दाल कंप्लीट हो जाती है ये बजर बजने चालू हो जाता है कि दाल कंप्लीट हो गई है. इसमें भी बहुत टाइमिंग कम लगती है. जैसे दाल को 2 से 3 घंटे लगते हैं इसमें आधे से पौना घंटा लगता है. इतनी जल्दी बनती है और इतनी टाइमिंग कम लगती है ना कि जितनी संगत आ जाए, लाखों के हिसाब से संगत आती है, कभी लंगर की कभी कमी नहीं हुई। जिसको कंप्लीट बनने के बाद दाल 350-400 किलो होती है।
Across the kitchen, flatbreads are made using machines.
उसके बाद ये हमारी मशीन रोटी मेकर जो 1 घंटे में 2000 प्रसादे बनाती है। ऑटोमेटिक है, सब कुछ इसमें पेड़े आटा सब ओनली आटा गूंदना पड़ता है हमारे को। इसके अंदर डालेंगे कटिंग पेड़ा सब चीजें करना है।
Oh, he's just on the corner though.
Come back, Glove.
उसके बाद ये
Back A glove. They have it.
ये रोटी कंप्लीट हो गई। अप डाउन 3 राउंड में।
That was the only one on site, it seems.
While these machines make a majority of the bread the langar uses, there is another player dedicated to making this
Spike
bread
down
by
A.
hand. This is done so people can see what or self-love service planet.
जो संगत आती है जिनकी श्रद्धा होती है कि हमने भी गुरुद्वारा बंगला साहब में सेवा करनी है, तो वो यहाँ पे आके मेहनत सेवा कर सकता है। 24 घंटे चलती है, जब भी किसी की श्रद्धा हो सकता है।
Oh my God!
Let's fly.
I told you to take Broadway. This always happens.
The langar officially opens its doors at 5 a.m. to serve food.
तो आप देखोगे गुरुपुरब का दिन है आज, गुरुपुरब चल रहा है और ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड में मनाया जाता है। इसी तरह आज में भी मनाया जा रहा है, तो लाखों लोग
Because wait 2.5 hours outside to get free meal. Inside the dining hall, visitors take their seats side by side in long rows known as pangats. This style of seating is an important part of the temple's philosophy of promoting equality and ending discrimination.
Last player standing.
Okay, just got shot through the snow.
Told him where you were.
Once everyone is seated, volunteers, known as sivaders, lead a religious chant in honor of the guru. Then the servers come around spooning large portions of food into metal plates. And while the amount of food one will eat is unlimited, there is a rule that not a single bite of food can be wasted, so plates must be cleaned before finishing the meal.
लंगर की खासियत तो यही है कि वो लंगर है, प्रसाद है, उसको आप ऐसे मील नहीं ले सकते, ये गुरु का प्रसाद होता है और इसमें हर पार्ट ये बेस्ट है, कोई भी इसमें कोई कमी ना होती है ना होनी चाहिए और ये बेस्ट है अपने।
Finished eating, workers sweep and wash the floors before another group is allowed to enter.
और साफ सफाई का पूरा ध्यान दिया जाता है ताकि साफ सुथरा रहे। तो यह हमारी कोशिश यही रहती है कि सबको साफ सुथरा, हाइजीनिक और गर्म लंगर तैयार करके दिया जाए।
मैं बंगला साहब काफ़ी बचपन से आ रहा हूँ, लगभग 20-24 साल हो गए जितनी मेरी एज है। खाना साफ सुथरा था और अभी आज क्या था कि नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि दाल चावल रोटी मिलती है, नॉर्मली देखा जाए तो नॉर्मली डेज, बट आज जैसे बैसाखी तो आज के साथ हमें पनीर भी मिला, खीर भी मिली। और ये देखो कि ऐसा नहीं है कि स्पेशली कुक है कि एक ही बंदा आके बना रहा है, ऐसा नहीं है। कोई भी धर्म का बंदा आके कोई भी सेवा कर सकता है, उसकी मन में सेवा भावना होनी चाहिए। और सेवा से क्या होता है कि दिल में एक भावना जागती है उस काल पूरक के लिए, फिर हम उसके आगे हमारा अंदर से बनता है।
Every week, these 3 chefs make 10,000 meals by hand. Working 10-hour shifts, The chefs use specialized cast iron and steel pots that can cook
You want to
800
play?
servings
Let's
at
play.
a time. Today, the kitchen is making 1,200 mapo tofu lunch boxes. And every meal has rice, spaghetti, chili japchae, pickled radishes, cucumber and chive salad, stir-fried garlic cake, and Chinese buns. It's a tall order, but worth the effort, according to her chef. We visited Muka Doshirak to see how this kitchen prepares its lunchboxes in such big batches. The process begins at 4:30 a.m. when Nochun
Last
and
round
his team
in the
start
half.
prepping ingredients for the day's menu. Chefs begin by washing and cutting 40 kilograms of white onions and 20 kilograms of green onions for the mapo tofu.
장난 아니게 너무 양파가 좀 많이 매운 편이라 이렇게 좀 많이 눈물을 흘려요 지금. 이만큼 요리사들이 좀 많이 힘들어요.
그 크기에 맞아야지 도시락에 들어가서 예쁜 모양을 낼 수 있기 때문에 그 크기를 가지고 있습니다.
Next, carrots are peeled and added into the same container as the white onions. Once the vegetables are prepped, it's time to start unpacking the tofu.
하루에 40분 정도 익고 되는 걸 내일 흔들어 하고 있습니다. 이걸로 약 도시락 5개 정도 예상하고 있습니다.
The tofu is cut into cubes and loaded into metal trays, which are then reeled into a
One enemy remaining.
아무래도 체질 경우가 많으니까 저희가 써서
While the tofu is steaming, chefs start cooking the other ingredients
Switching
for the dish
sides.
in a large cast iron wok. They
downside
add
to being
red
more
pepper oil and stir-fry the green onions and 10 kilograms of pork together until the meat cooks through. Chefs then add in the basket of white onions and carrots, as well as large ladles of doubanjiang, a savory Chinese bean paste made from fermented broad beans, chili peppers, and soybean. They season the mixture and add ladles of starch water to help adjust the consistency. Finally, once the tofu is done, it's drained and mixed into the wok using a metal shovel.
Hey. 60 on a chain. Man.
One enemy remaining.
Nice.
Strike down A.
땅을 쓰거나
Nice job. Nice job.
There can only be one here. And that's not the only thing that's custom in the kitchen.
Outside of this game,
Chefs use a special machine that supplies and drains water to wash about 120 kilograms of rice at a time.
는 총 3번 씻고요. 기계는 21대가 있고요. 개수로 그다음에 약 900인분 정도 이렇게 나오고 있습니다. 한 솥에 50인분이 나오고요. 그 다음에 소요 시간은 밥이 전원을 누르고 동시에 30분 정도 뒤에 밥이 완료가 됩니다. 물 양은 쌀에 한 80% 정도 물 양을 맞추고 있습니다. 아무래도 80%가
Bro, I am not flat, for fuck's sake. Stop saying everyone's fucking flat. Not everyone's flat. Some people can be gold, some people can be diamonds, so fuck off about it. Bro, there are diamonds in this lobby too.
Holy shit,
The next order of business is making chili japchae.
Not even.
고추 잡채는 고기 10kg, 10kg, 파프리카 2kg, 양파 10kg, 굴소스 3kg, 설탕 1kg, 이렇게 들어가고 있습니다. 고추기름에 고기를 붓다가 그다음에 야채,
one's close under heaven.
Spike planted.
빠르게
Player standing.
85 on that.
no peeking.
맞아, 겨워. I told you to take Broadway. This always.
While the japchae cooks, chefs start prepping the cucumber and wild chive salad. 40 kilograms of cucumbers are sliced before being pickled.
절인 이유는 고객들에게 음식이 갔을 때 물이 불편하지 않기 위해서 저희가 절여서 지금 제공하고 있습니다. 음식을.
119 on Jet. They're all C. Jet was on top. There's one to your left.
Deadlock's tag.
절인 다음에
They're playing from out.
결과지 않으면 다시
Can you get off B side, please?
Can you please play the game?
60 deadlock.
오이가 40kg, 달래가 10kg. 그 다음에 물엿 500g, 설탕
Deadlock.
그 다음에
Nice try.
멸치
Clove's just not playing, boys.
100g, 참기름 100g.
This place is nice,
이렇게
but
들어가고
not nice enough to die in. Let's
You've been on
break
B like the entire round until Spike planted.
Well, you're mad, and you're probably also mad because you have 4 duelists. I understand, but bro, the way you're playing right now is not helpful. Even if we have 4 duelists, we did well.
지금 데쳐서 지금 나오고 있는 상태입니다. 지금 꺼내서 간장 900g, 설탕 600g, 물엿
I'm with you on that,
300g,
Jet.
마늘 300g,
You want to play? Let's
이렇게
play.
졸여서
I'm just gonna hide in this corner right now. I'm not peeking that off. I'm sorry.
There's like 3C.
Okay.
Next, the kitchen prepares crab egg soup.
게살 계란탕에
The rest are C.
계란 숭탕,
Yep.
게살
You get to
20kg,
grenades.
팽이버섯 20kg, 참기름.
Okay, he's just sitting there. But I got a grenade. Jet's hit for 67. My grenade hit Jet for 67.
일단 계산 계란탕에는 육수를 먼저
Was not prepared for Chamber to be sitting there with an off.
멸치, 디포리 이렇게 넣어서
Player standing. One enemy
On
remaining.
fly.
전부는 농도 잡고 게살이랑
Nice.
이렇게 넣어서 마무리.
Nice job, Jet.
게살 계란국은 끓이는 시간까지
That was just
포함해서
unlucky
2시간 정도
Phoenix right there at the end.
For dessert, the chefs are reheating flour buns.
호빵 1000개 필요하고요.
Who did you hit for
호빵은
145?
저희한테 냉동 상태로
Phoenix.
입고가 돼서 다음날 기름에 튀겨서
Once fried, the buns will be drizzled with condensed milk and topped
So
with
chamber.
almonds.
Yeah, that is tragic.
When everything is cooked, employees fill small individual containers with rice and crab egg soup.
Get out of my way!
Portions of the other
I'm saying he just shoots through smokes like crazy, man. I might die here.
each of these lunch boxes costs
Last player standing.
or
Okay.
about $5.
One behind.
After
Nice.
10 hours of cooking and packaging, the lunch boxes are then put into insulated
Yeah,
containers
Rita, that
and
was
delivered to
unfortunate for you
offices
through the
around
smoke.
the city that have subscriptions.
Bro, he knows how good your aim is, that's why he doesn't want to go up against your aim.
뭐 전체적으로 다 괜찮은데 그냥 뭐 저는
We go shopping here because
괜찮게
don't have anything else.
뭐
I can order.
아무래도 뭐 직장인들 고민거리야 뭐 매번 똑같겠지만 점심 뭐 먹을 것
My territory,
먹는지가 제일
my food. I have them
이제
now.
맛도 이제
I can't help you, Chloe.
괜찮으니까 지속적으로 이용하고 있습니다.
You put yourself in a pickle.
신사람들로 다양한 감산들을 맛보시는 게 회사 생활할 때 나갔다 들어오는 거 귀찮은데 바로 점심을 배달해서 먹으시다니 좋은 것 같습니다.
Gotcha, fun bee. My turn.
Last player standing.
This restaurant preps, packs, and roasts hundreds of kilos of meat every day.
Not much I can do.
Passionek Doner in Turkey has been serving its namesake dish for over 45 years.
Nice try, everyone.
Across 3 branches in Ankara, the restaurant chain can prepare up to 1.5 tons of meat every single day to feed over 1,500 customers. We visited one of its kitchens to see how cooks prepare doner in such big batches. It starts with the meat, which owner Kazim Passionek sources specifically from the hind legs of dairy calves from the Kazil Kahaman district in Ankara.
Yani bizim döner kebap için en iyi kısım süt danası arka. Zaten arka but olması çok önemli. Özellikle de genç danalar, yani yaklaşık 1 yaşında civarında genç danaların zaten etin renginden de belli olur. Pembe olur, esmer olmaz. Yaşlı danalardaki esmer olur.
Kitchen staff use these special knives that are thin and long to slice the large portions of meat.
120 clove, 120 clove. They're all on C.
Mutfak bıçağı tabii mümkün
Nice
değil.
try.
Player
standing.
Tek tek ustalar tarafından aşağıda kesiliyor.
Workers fill this entire table with meat, then salt it and cover it with the house marinade.
Yani günlük şubelerimizde her şubede yaklaşık 500 kilo, yarım ton civarında et marine ediyoruz. Yani etin marinesinin içerisinde soğan suyu, süt veya süt ürünleri, ayran, yoğurt vesaire gibi bir de %1 oranında da tuz kullanıyoruz.
They massage the meat to make sure each piece is generously coated. The marinade process, they neatly pack the single slabs of meat into these marinade containers.
Ready.
They cover the meat in plastic and move it to the fridge, where it rests for 2 days for the flavors to meld and the meat to tenderize. Once the meat is fully rested, it's time to start assembling the shish. The process starts at 9 a.m. and it takes about 2 hours for cooks to stack around 250 kilos of meat. For extra flavor and richness, they also add layers of tail fat.
Daha sonra şişe takacağımız zaman da %10-12 civarında kuyruğu yapacağız. Farklı şekilde arz edilmesi. Kıymasının hem ara katlara hem de üst kata kuyruğun yağını almış oluyoruz. Ve lezzeti
Baby on fucking deadlock. I
şekilde,
suck.
özellikle bazı kimseler sevmezler.
Throughout the stacking process, workers repeatedly push down on the layers to keep air out and shave off the outer pieces of meat to shape the doner into an inverted.
Spike planted.
These shavings get added back into the stack with the tail fat, so nothing is wasted.
Last player standing.
Like I never.
Last
Final
player
layer,
standing.
workers flatten the remaining tail fat and recover stuff.
Nice try, Jet. Nice try.
Match point.
Then it's time to light the broiler and let the doner cook for 4 to 5 hours.
15-20 dakika ilk o içini çekme tabir ediyoruz dönerde. İlk yüzü ısınıyor. İşte ondan sonra servise normal başlayabiliyoruz.
The lunch rush usually lasts
Quite a
from
few
4 p.m. to
see, I mean,
1:30 p.m. In this hour-and-a-half span, the restaurant serves high-value.
Spike down. C. Last player standing.
Special cooking method. Orders can be ready in as little as 5 minutes.
Dünyanın en hızlı yemeği. Hem hızlı bir şekilde pişecek hem hızlı bir şekilde kesilecek. Yani insan için dik bir şekilde en ideal hızlı bir şekilde kesmesi için.
The restaurant cooks a new separate donor.
My territory!
Spike player.
It's okay right now. That was the best of us.
This caters to
Really
customers'
does.
preferences of the donor.
Bu
If we only
dönerin
just didn't have a guy who was
farklı yönleri var.
pissy because he got.
İlk tıraşını sever. Yani biraz daha tuzlu olur. Ama kimisi de görüntüsü de güzel olsun, yaprak olsun adına yani dönerin daha ortalarında.
Ben daha önce dönerin ilk kesim halini de denedim. O da güzel. Yani sırf onun için gelenler de var çok erken saatte ama ben daha çok akşam saatlerine kalmadan yani daha sulu olduğu zamanlarda, etin suyunu daha fazla olduğu zamanlarda, etin daha yumuşak olduğu zamanlarda tercih ediyorum.
Doner has existed in different forms and under various names in the Middle East for ages. But the ready-to-cut vertical version we see today is believed to have been created in the mid-19th century in Bursa, Turkey by Iskender Efendi. The doner kebab is not Turkey's national dish, but it is among the country's most popular foods. Every day, 900,000 kilograms of traditional kebab is eaten across the country. And although rice and salad are some of the most common additions to this popular street food across the world, according to Kazim,
Döner kebabını yemenin en iyi yolu
Peşinek doner makes its lavash with a simple dough recipe of white flour, salt, yeast, and water. Once it's been properly mixed, the pieces are shaped, flattened, topped with an egg yolk marinade, and finally cooked in a stone oven, heated by a wood fire. Each lavash is timed so that it bakes in the same time frame as the doner.
babamın bir tabiri vardır. Lavaş bizde döner mesela 3 tane sipariş gelir, 3 tane lavaş çıkar.
Once the lavash is cut and plated, cooks top the slices with 140 grams of doner and sivri bibash, a grilled spicy pepper that is traditionally served with roast or grilled meat throughout Turkey. Small plates of sumac onions and fresh salad are also served as sides or additional toppings.
Bence mükemmel ısırık. Pidenizin arasına eti koyduğunuz zaman üstüne biraz biber ekledikten sonra soğanı koyup aldığınız o ilk ısırık en güzel ısırığınız oluyor.
Bunu tam kıvamında ayarlıyor peçenek ekmeğini buranın. İdeal incelikte. Yenildiği zaman da parçalanmayan bir şekilde. Ekmeğini bu şekilde tarif edebilirim.
By the end of the meal, many customers are still hungry for dessert.
Yani bazı müşterilerimiz var hatta şöyle tabir ediyor. Biz dönerim sütlacı altlık olsun diye yiyoruz.
The recipe for Peşinek doner's rice pudding, also known as sütlak, took 4 months to perfect. It starts with the milk from Jersey cows, which is boiled with sugar and Osmanşik rice for over 2 hours to reach this thick, creamy consistency.
Sütlaçta da benim için önemli olan nokta o sütün kokusun tadını alabilmem lazım. Yine aynı şekilde etteki gibi rahatsız etmeyecek olması lazım.
Cooks bake the pudding in a water bath inside the same wood-fired oven used for lavash.
Ya biz katkı maddesi olmasın. Yani bir eskiden, çok eskilerden annelerimizin köyde yaptığı sütlaç gibi olsun. İnsanları aradığı bir lezzeti sunalım diye.
Buraya yıllardır geldiğimiz için artık buraya güveniyoruz. Etlerinin sağlıklı ve temiz olduğunu biliyoruz. Çalışanların güler yüzü, bizi kapıda gördükleri zaman samimi bir şekilde karşılamaları da bizi buraya çeken etkenlerden biri.
This mega kitchen in Japan
Match
carefully
found.
prepares 3,000 school meals every day. Since 1967, the Musashino City School Lunch and Dietary Education Promotion Foundation has been cooking these meals to promote healthy eating habits among young children. We visited its kitchen, Sakura Tsutsumi Cookhouse, to see how these lunches are made in such big batches. The day's preparation starts around 7:30 each morning. Staff members change into sanitized factory shoes and color-coded uniforms and wash their hands twice before entering the kitchen. This is Takagi. He is the nutritionist in charge of the menu, and he is our tour guide for the day.
衛生面では、上処理側という衛生区域に入る人は白い前掛けをかけます。そして、泥野菜等を洗う、非汚染区域、汚染区域というのは青い前掛けをして洗います。
The kitchen is spread across 3 floors and spans 3/4 the area of an American football field. Inside, 70 staff members break into small units, working in unison to prep, cook, and package all of these meals in just under 4 hours.
この部屋は野菜を洗う部屋です。うちはオーガニック、有機野菜を使っていることが多いので、虫等がつきやすいです。
キャベツを、切ったものをほぐして、ここで洗って、次に、汚れとかも取って、次の水槽に渡しています。虫とか卵とかないかをチェックして、なかったらこっちに送り出してるところ送り出します。
虫とかっていることってあるんですか？虫とかがいることってあるんですか？
あります。
地場なんで泥付きで来るんで、泥を落としてから、天地を取って皮をむいて味噌汁に入るんですけど、今日は120キロ。
Today's meal consists of millet rice, miso soup, sticky shumai dumplings, cabbage and mustard sauté, and milk. Takagi plans each meal 3 months in advance, so the team has enough time to source all of the ingredients and account for students' allergies. Every menu item he adds is tailored to fit the nutritional needs of different age groups, so every student gets the most nutritious meal they can possibly have.
僕は今お味噌汁を作っています。今日は市内産の大根、オーガニックの小松菜、国産大豆の生油、あとはカメです。
This massive pot is large enough to cook 750 kilograms of soup at a time. The base of the broth is made by boiling 6 slices of dried potato and lentil scalp with water.
Hello, babies. そういうちゃんとした
そうですね。はい。
ちょっとそれ説明していただいていいですか？
やはり子供たちは味覚が非常に育つ時期なので、味に対しては敏感なんですね。
Most of the staff who work here are mothers of students, and many of them take great pride in knowing that the food is made with care, nutritional and healthy ingredients.
お母さん方が、やはり自分事として自分の子供が食べているので、
One of the most popular items the kitchen makes is shumai. Here, 15 staff members use 180 kilograms of ground pork, 40 kilograms of soybeans, and a variety of blended vegetables to make around 200 shumai by hand. And by the end of the shift, they'll make about 3,000.
手作りで
One enemy remaining.
すべての材料が安心して子どもたちに提供できます。また食物アレルギー対応においても材料が明確になっていますので事故が起こしにくいというふうに考えています。
On top of monitoring allergies, the kitchen is diligent about food safety. Some of the meat used to fill the shumai is always saved and monitored for bacterial growth.
保存食という形で取り置きをしてまして、食中毒の可能性があったときはここから検査をこれに可能性があるかということで確認をするために2週間程度保存をしています。そのための温度と匂いだったり確認しているかなどは確認をしています。
Besides safety, the kitchen prioritizes using fresh, organic, and local ingredients.
やはりですね、食育という観点で、しっかり日本の食文化を観点で和食献立を出しています。 この中心にですね、有機電気や水素鋼材を有する
Nice. Get my phantom. There's 3 here. Rotate. Get my phantom and rotate.
自宅を担うようになった際にですね、身近にある日常的な食材を使ってしっかりと献立が立てられる、そういった見本になるようなことを考えて献立を立てています。私どもの献立ではですね、基本は3日はお米ご飯です。それで1日はパン、残り1日は麺類が基本になっていますが、
The API in my team built makes it fast to check into the Capital One Airport Lounge. It's serverless and reusable by the Capital One dev teams. I'm just glad this lounge isn't space. Oh, we were just talking about you.
Well, cheers. 30 seconds left.
To make the rice,
I got
the
this
kitchen
one.
uses 6 giant pots.
Or not.
One enemy remaining.
Nice, good shot. My bad. No, you got, that was my bad.
かき混ぜるの大変そうですね、それだけあると。
結構大変。
In total, 250 kilograms of rice will be made in a very short period of time using a special process.
一度に大量に炊くためには、湯炊きという炊飯方法に。この湯炊きというのは、炊飯で一番大事な、お米を入れてから沸騰するまでの時間を短くするために一度お湯を沸かした中に、お米を投入して、攪拌をするという、大量調理の特殊な方法になります。
And finally, this is the main cooking area, where the cabbage and mustard sauté is made.
Yo, they're just playing
140
there every
kilograms
round.
of the washed cabbage is boiled before getting sautéed with komatsuna leaf and carrots.
そうですね、結構釜が大きいので大変です。
いい味です。ちゃんと温度も上がっています。一度下に高温で焼くとかですが、食べてみて、ベロでちゃんと確認してください。味付けもいいと思います。
Yeah, there's one market, one on. I'm rotating A. See ya.
Meals are portioned into thermal containers and loaded into 5 delivery trucks.
KJ on site lit 80. Jets lit 40. Market. Could be A main.
先ほど組調理場では、一律の中学校6校と小学校2校、合わせて8校に対して、合計3000食の給食を出したいという気持ちがありますけれども、やはり食育の観点と、栄養バランスのことがありますので、子どもの好きなものばかり出すわけではありません。味覚のですね、発達を促すためにも、いろいろな食材とか料理を考えています。伝統的な食文化とですね、食材の生産と、消費についての理解を深めてもらって、食についての正しい理解を深めることでですね、子どもたちが将来大人になった時に正しい食生活、食習慣を身につけるというようなことを目的としています。
All of the ingredients used are funded by the students' families, who pay school lunch fees. Each meal costs about 350 yen, or roughly $2.50 for middle school students, and about 240 to 280 yen for elementary students.
どう？今日の給食どう？今日の給食どう？あれもう食べ終わっちゃったね。
Oh, don't play around.
給食を通じてですね、食への関心を高めてもらって正しい食習慣を身につけることを目的としています。自慢できるところは最新の設備と地域人材の活用だと思っています。最新の学校給食衛生管理基準に対応したですね、衛生的な設備と、あとやすい皆さん児童生徒のために一生懸命働いていただきまして、そうですね、こちらの施設の原動力の一つとなっています。
This dag, or cauldron, located at the Ajmer Sharif Dargah in Rajasthan, India, is one of the largest in the world. Donated by
Ankle lover,
Mughal
nearby.
Emperor Akbar in 1567, the dagg measures 37 feet wide and was made in such a way that the rim never gets hot,
Doing you good last
even
game.
while the fire is ignited and the food is being cooked. Here, volunteers are making 2,500 kilograms of a sweet rice dish called zarda to feed the 20 to 25,000 devotees who visit the shrine each day. Keeping a watchful eye over the cooking process is Syed Mujahid Hamer Chisti, who is also in charge of tending to the devotees.
हिंदू मुसलमान सिख ईसाई पारसी रामायण की एक ऐसी एकता का प्रतीक है कोई भूखा नहीं है.
We visited the shrine to see how they make the sweet prasad in such big batches.
Spike down, B.
Yeah, he's on site, I think.
Last player standing. Which could include money, rice, lentils, or other groceries
Bet that was about
that
to
the temple can use to make the prasad.
Tech still working?
Then
Double
it's
check
time
it, please.
to start cooking. Making
I'm
this
gonna go
dish
fast
is
it.
time intensive
Just gonna
and
ult this.
begins by lighting a wood fire underneath the dagg. There are 4 openings around the dagg and 50 kilograms of wood is kept at each one to keep the fire going strong. The devotees who have sponsored that day's
Placing
meal
alarm
then
boxes
gather
nearby.
around the cauldron to help with the dish's preparation.
Get out of my way!
First, they fill the cauldron with 4,000 liters of water. They also add jugs of sparkling
nice.
water and rose water, which help add a breath of flavor to the finished dish.
Watch your eyes.
Someone come help him with me.
आप देख रहे हैं कि उसका कोई परत नहीं है उसका कोई आशा नहीं है.
Let's drop it.
Once the
Flank,
mixture
flank, flank.
starts to boil, volunteers
Yeah.
carry that mixture up to the cauldron platform and pour it inside.
Last player standing.
Then it's time to stir the mixture, which is easier said than done. Since the dagg measures 37 feet
Your
wide
hearts
and
are
15
pounding.
feet deep, it takes at least 4 volunteers to maneuver a large wooden oar. 2 people push
Wait,
and pull on the wooden
We can
handle,
literally
while across the
kill these
cauldron,
2 fucking
2 people
dumbasses on
use
A.
ropes that are
They have not
attached
moved
to
from
the
their
bottom.
spots. Is one like Jen,
They
on
move in
top of Jen,
tandem
or
with each
behind
other
Jen,
to
and one
establish
behind
a
Dice?
rhythm.
Break them.
Let's walk up. I'm gonna molly Dice, and you guys aim for
Volunteers
Jen.
then add in over
I can smoke that. I
1,100
can blind
kilograms
Jen.
of rice and multiple.
Like I go open.
Spike down A. Have this fight.
They continue to stir the mixture
That's okay,
until it thickens and reaches a smooth consistency.
इसको बनाने में 5 से 6 घंटे लगते हैं. हिलाने से मतलब वो जो चीज़ जहाँ कच्ची रहती है तो वो हिलाने से वो चीज़ पक जाती है.
I'll blind out.
Pardon their vision. Still inside.
Dry fruits and nuts like cashews, almonds, and pistachios are added as a final touch before the dish is served.
Spike dropped.
बनती है ये लकड़ी की सीढ़ी डाली जाती है. उस सीढ़ी में आदमी उतर के उसको निकाल के वो बांटता है.
Player standing. That will wear
Fuck, nice
special
try.
shoe covers that are cleaned before each meal. They scoop the rice with buckets and pass them along a line to fill large steel barrels.
So they stack 3 there. Yeah, Beretta, maybe stop running up, bro.
Once these are full, volunteers scoop the sweet prasad into small bowls and hand them out to hungry pilgrims.
Right here, behind this wall, behind this wall.
Ready.
बहुत अच्छा था
Go ahead, hit.
टेस्टी अलग है बाहर का जैसा बनता है उससे अलग टेस्टी है
Incredible history.
बाबा का दरबार तो 900 साल पुराना है बाबा के दरबार में ही देव बादशाह अकबर ने दी जो कि 500 साल से जो है जब से आज तक आया
Smoking too.
उस दौर में जिस तरीके से बनता था आज भी बन रहा है
But the cauldron is only filled to capacity on special occasions, or when the number of devotees to the Dargah is very high. On most days, the temple uses a second, smaller cauldron known as the Choti Deg, which was donated by Akbar's son Jahangir in 1613.
Half.
Yet, regardless of which cauldron is used, thousands of pilgrims visit the sacred site every day, eat the prasad, and seek the blessings of the saint.
No more. One enemy remaining.
उसकी मनोकामना वो पूरी होती है
जी ये बनावट जो है बहुत सॉफ्ट है इसकी टेस्टी मीठापन आता है ये तबरुक है ये और टेस्टी बहुत अच्छा है अजमेर शरीफ तो वैसे बहुत फेमस है यहाँ सबकी ख्वाहिश होती है कि यहाँ पे एक बार ज़्यादा ज़रूर करें और मेरी दिली तमन्ना है कि जो ख्वाहिशें मैं लेके आया हूँ यहाँ पे इंशाल्लाह वो पूरी हो जाए
500 साल से ये मीठा प्रसाद बनता है ये बड़ी देख की खास बात ये है कि इसके अंदर में ये भाईचारा का एक प्रतीक है हिंदू मुसलमान सिख ईसाई पारसी ब्राह्मण तमाम लोग इस चीज़ को बहुत ही पसंद करते हैं मैं तो खाता ही रहता हूँ इसी पे पल रहा हूँ मैं क्योंकि मैं शुरू से ही बचपन से ये चीज़ें खाता हूँ और लोगों को बहुत ही टेस्ट लगता है जो एक दफ़े खाता है दोबारा मांगता है
He's nice.
During the month of Ramadan, this kitchen runs last players then go, chilies, spices, and known as
my turn.
For 25 years, Mohammed Abdul Majid and his sons have been running Pista House, a popular chain known for making this dish on massive scales.
आज जो हलीम बन रही है तो उसका टारगेट ये है कि कम से कम 60 से 60 to 70,000 आदमी खाएंगे
Halim is popularly consumed by Muslims in Hyderabad during Ramadan, who often break their daily fast with this high-protein and calorically rich dish. But that doesn't mean it's exclusive.
और ये डिश कोई ऐसी डिश नहीं है कि भाई ये ओनली मुस्लिम की डिश है या वो ओनली
You can go Vando, no armor. That might be more effective.
We visited Pista House's central kitchen to see
Let's
how
take
it
tree.
makes Halim
I
in such
gotta
big
flash to it.
batches.
I'm gonna flash the tree, try and get a gun.
The day begins with unloading and weighing all of the vegetables.
देखिए हलीम बनाने में जो टाइम लगता है अगर आप देखा गया तो ये टोटल 24 आवर्स लगते हैं
Mountains of onions spiked down eggs and garlic are peeled by hand. The onions are then grated through machines while the garlic is mashed into a paste. On the other side of the kitchen, hundreds of
He's on site now. I think Clove is on site.
हलीम बनाने में सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज वो है मीट का सिलेक्शन और जो है गोट मीट ही इस्तेमाल करते हैं इसके अंदर गोट मीट के अंदर ये होता है कि जो गोट है वो अच्छी होना चाहिए इसको डॉक्टर चेक करना चाहिए तो ये तो होगा ही है उसके गोट का मीट देखते हैं उसके बाद फिर मीट आता है
Every pot is filled with 100 liters of
I
water,
think that works. The mid play works, but
followed
we
by
probably need
100
somebody.
kilograms of goat,
I'll take aiming control and then get the flash into
9.5
tree.
kilograms of green chilies.
Make sure there's a smoke. Make sure garden is smoked.
Once filled, the pots are covered and left to boil for 5 to 6 hours. Then the lids are removed, and a mixture of cilantro, basmati rice, and the ginger garlic paste that was prepared earlier is poured inside.
Smoke that.
I think
Once
that
that has cooked through, spike down A. Wheat flour is added.
तो 60% शरबती होता है, 40% बंसी होता है, तो दोनों में
Keeping
That's
at
gonna be low.
consistent temperature and constantly stirring the mixture are two of the biggest players standing.
Oh, Jesus.
रवे को, गर्म पानी को और नीचे जो आग उसके बाद थोड़ा भी अगर इसके अंदर रहेगा,
apparently I headshot her
तो
for
उसके अंदर
50.
उसको दाग जो बोलते हैं, जो चिपक जाता है,
I know,
उसको
with a vandal.
बुरा
Once the flour is mixed, it's time for the spices.
जो हमारे स्पाइसेस में इलायची, दालचीनी, कबाब चीनी, लौंग, शाहजीरा और जीरा, रोज पेटल्स, काली मिर्ची और कबाब चीनी, ये धनिया पाउडर, ये सब इसमें हर हिसाब से 100 kg के हिसाब से मिक्स करते हैं इसको। ये पूरे ऐसे मसाले लगते हैं। इसके अलावा भी जो है हमारा एक सीक्रेट जो फार्मूला है, वो भी लगता है, वो सीक्रेट है।
KJ's always holding that mid.
Is she?
Yeah, she always
After
holds
the
the
masala
market.
is added,
The turret is
they
watching the
seal the
B
pot
main,
for
right?
steaming, which
I
allows the
haven't pushed B
flavors
main.
to be completely absorbed.
Joke's over! You're dead! तो उसकी जो
Phoenix
स्टीम
was
आती है,
today.
स्टीम से पूरा दम होता है। वो कम से कम 2 घंटे इसको रखते हैं।
That's good. Alright, that's good.
Next is the most physically demanding part of the cooking process,
That was
smashing
B main.
halim. Workers pour large bags of ghee and use wooden sledgehammers to smash the halim. The process called mortar. Each of these hammers weighs 17 pounds, making this strength work.
इसमें सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज ये है और तकलीफ ये है इसके अंदर कि टोटल ये मैनुअल है, तो मैनुअल में पूरा काम करना पड़ता है और मैनुअल हम रखना ही चाह रहे हैं क्योंकि इससे जो है लोगों को जॉब ऑटोमेशन में गए तो जॉब्स कम हुआ।
When the mixture they add the paste and continue mashing for another 15 to 20 minutes. This is a trap. One enemy remaining. Switching sides.
And the last thing they'll see before they die. Lucky them.
They got it?
Placing swamp grenade. Finally, it's stopped with boiled ghee, then scooped into thermal containers and wheeled to another room where it's weighed and loaded onto delivery trucks.
Just cool down. We're good enough to win. Recalling my bot.
Back up, back. 78 on cloak.
Cover going out.
At every piece last player standing, halim, spike planted containers, and always stuffed.
घी पे टॉपिंग करते हैं ब्राउन ऑनियन, प्योर घी, लेमन, जीरा बनता है।
Arab merchants are believed to have introduced halim to India under the name haris sometime in the 7th century.
जो हलीम आई थी इंडिया में वो निज़ाम की पीरियड में आई थी, जब यहाँ के रूलर जो निज़ाम थे उनके पीरियड में हलीम आई थी, जैसे गल्फ कंट्री से आई थी और ईरान से आई थी। हैदराबाद आने के बाद वहाँ पर जो है स्पाइसेस नहीं है, जैसे सऊदी अरेबिया में या जो भी गल्फ कंट्रीज में स्पाइसेस नहीं है, तो बहुत ही फीकी हलीम होती है, ऐसी थोड़ी स्वीट हलीमी बनती थी। मगर हमको प्राउड एक है कि हम वहाँ से जो हलीम आई थी यहाँ से बना के फिर वापस हम वहाँ पर भेज रहे हैं। पिस्ता हाउस का ये बड़ा कारनामा है कि यहाँ से बना के वहाँ भेज रहे हैं।
While halim is exclusively cooked during Ramadan, Many locals who are not Muslim enjoy it just as much. And many of the people who buy this halim have been doing so for years.
मैं पिस्ता हाउस के हलीम 24 ईयर से खा रहा हूँ। बहुत शानदार बनाते हैं ये हलीम पिस्ता। लाजवाब है, वो बोलने में नहीं आ सकता है। क्या है बोल दो, वो एक अजीब ही है। वो सिर्फ महसूस किया जा सकता है, बताने में नहीं आता।
ये इसमें जो काम है ये दिनों का ना महीनों का काम है और मैं तो ये बोलता हूँ कि जैसे रमज़ान ख़त्म हो गया, एक महीने के बाद तैयारी शुरू कर देते हैं हम लोग।
Bomb grenade out. Turret destroyed.
This team of bakers makes around 1,200
it's
trays
just
of
waiting here.
baklava every week.
Player standing.
And
Spike
Master Chef
planted.
Mehmed Akinjolu has to pay careful attention to every process.
Oluyor yani. Olur yani. Usta bir baklavacı olmak 5 ile 10 yıl arası değişir.
Can someone buy me?
We visited Akinjolu Baklava to see how it makes its baklava in such big batches. The day begins at 5 a.m.
Hey, Omi, you wanna come
making the
fly?
daily dough.
Find this.
Hard wheat flour,
Okay,
water,
I'm trying to push it.
eggs, and salt are added into a mechanical mixer and combined for 20 to 25 minutes.
If you hear sound, if you hear one step, you're
The dough is taken out, cut, weighed, and kneaded into small discs that are left to rest for another 20 to 25 minutes.
Beklemedikten sonra da hamurun belli kıvamı, o beklediği kıvamı bulduktan sonra da makine bölümüne geçiyoruz.
The discs are loaded into the dough sheeter and run back and forth to flatten and elongate them.
Tabii bu makineyi kullanmak da ayrı bir şey. Sağ ve sol şeylerini yaparaktan sağa sola gitmesini şey yapıyoruz. Aynı şekilde burada derecesini şey yaparaktan da incelmesini sağlıyoruz.
one's looking mid.
Hamurumuzu belirlediğimiz derece inceliğe geldikten sonra da elle alıp o havaya sarıp döşeme bölümünü alacağız.
Here, chefs roll 10 to 15 sheets of dough at a time and generously coat them in starch so they don't stick together.
Burada açılan oklava da oklava malzemesi el şeyi. Meşe veya dut odunundan olması gerekir. Sertliğini eğilmemesi, düzgünlüğünü muhafaza etmesi için çok önemli bir açım aletidir bu da yani.
Every sheet of dough is rolled until it's paper thin.
Hamur ne kadar ince olmalı? Hamur ne kadar ince olursa o kadar baklavadaki kışırlığı ve lezzeti, görüntüyü, parlaklığı daha iyi alırsınız. Onun için zarf tabir ettiğimiz veya kağıt ettiğimiz tabir olması gerekiyor. O şeyi yakaladığımız zaman tamam diyoruz. Yani.
The thinly rolled dough is then brought to a table to fill each pan.
İçeride çekmiş olduğumuz hamurlar açıldıktan sonra buraya bu bölüme gelerekten bu şekilde gelen hamurlarımızı taban bir şekilde
Spike down A.
80 on jet.
Bu hamurun
Jets out jet.
ölçütü yok. Ne kadar inceltilebilirse incelmesinde fayda var. Bundan sonra da gördüğünüz gibi elimiz dahi ölçecek derecede incelmiş durumda. Bunun incelmesi
Enemy spotted A. Spike planted.
ne kadar da incelirse o kadar hamur pişir ve güzel olur. 15, 16, 17 dakika
Last player standing.
Daha sonra süt kaymağı dediğimiz emirle yapmış olduğumuz kaymağı bir kat tabanına yatırıyoruz. Daha sonra ise
Next, a mountain of special buds pistachios is added into the tray.
bu fıstığın özelliği ağaçta daha tam olmadan, yani ağaçta fıstıktan dolgunlaşmadan toplanmış olmasıdır. Toplamdan dolayı bu ağaçlar fıstık taze ve daha genç bir şekilde elde ediliyor. Ve dolayısıyla çekildiği zaman bu fıstık müthiş bir reha, müthiş bir koku elde ediyorsunuz fıstıkla.
All of the pistachios Mehmet uses are harvested locally and picked within 10 to 15 days of sprouting.
Just one.
Daha sonra olursa fıstık dolgunlaşıyor. Dolgunlaşırsa o içerisindeki dediğimiz o rehayı, o şeyi, o yeşilliği, o rengi alamıyoruz fıstıktan.
The pistachios are topped with another 15 to 20 layers of dough before they are taken to the slicing section.
Out mid.
Nowhere to run!
Here, Mehmet and his team add the final layers of dough to the top of the baklava and laminate each layer with melted butter. As with the pistachios, Mehmet carefully selects his butter from sheep that have been grazing on mountain plants. With steam.
Belli ısı
Bomb this tree.
ya geliyor.
Spike down
Isı ne
A.
fazla olacak ne az olacak. Eğer fazla olursa baklavamız küçük olur. Az olursa da yine baklavamız kabarmaz.
Spike planted.
Kabartma elde edemeyiz. Ve şu an tekrar bir dilim işlemlerine başlayalım. Ver Abdullah. Bunu da tekrar yüzlüğünü çekerken süpürgenin ucunu batırıyoruz. Çekiyoruz.
Last player standing. One enemy remaining.
Wingman's defusing. Shot my wingman.
Bu hamurumuzun açılış en ortak kısmı,
Guess we're doing this.
ince kısmı, en kıymetli yeri. Onun için de en üstüne atıyorum.
Attackers win.
Once the last layer of dough is applied, bakers cut the excess and slice strips across the tray. Then they coat the tray in another layer of butter and cut it again into its famous diamond shape.